This photograph was taken on March 15, 1945, just after American forces broke through a section of the Siegfried Line, Germany's last major defensive barrier along the Western Front. The image was captured by Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal. Here, you're seeing soldiers from the 3rd Armoured Division, advancing cautiously through a narrow breach filled with rubble and tangled barbed wire. With every step, they faced the very real threat of sniper fire, hidden mines and relentless resistance. This next image was taken December 16, 1944, in the Ardennes forest in Belgium. The photograph captures a German MG-42 machine gunner trudging through the snow during the Battle of the Bulge, one of the final, desperate offensives by Nazi forces. His face reveals the weariness of weeks of fighting in freezing conditions. There's no celebration here, just exhaustion and grim determination to press forward. This soldier, like many others, knows that the war is lost, yet in the face of certain defeat, they continue to fight on, driven by duty, even as the war's end grows closer. This image captures the haunting reality of German occupation. 2 German soldiers stand guard over a French colonial soldier, captured, humiliated and forced to march under the weight of defeat. The French colonial soldier, likely a man from one of France's African territories, had fought bravely, but now he is a prisoner of war. His face, worn and resigned, tells the story of not just personal loss, but for the larger, forgotten sacrifices made by colonial soldiers in a war that would ultimately leave their contributions unacknowledged. September 1933, during the League of Nations conference in Geneva, the renowned Jewish photographer Alfred Einstadt captured the iconic image of Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister. Initially, Goebbels was posed with a relaxed demeanour, but upon learning that Einstadt was Jewish, his expression shifted dramatically. The photograph, now known as The Eyes of Hate, perfectly captures Goebbels' growing hostility, reflecting the deep anti-Semitism of the Nazi regime. This image is a chilling reminder of the personal animosity Jews faced, even with those of the highest echelons of power. September 9, 1944, American soldiers from the 60th Infantry Regiment, part of the 9th Infantry Division, advance into Spremont, Belgium, during the Allied push to liberate Europe. Backed by the unmistakable silhouette of an M4 Sherman tank, these men move cautiously through the town, knowing that every doorway and window could hide danger. This moment, captured just days after the liberation of Belgium began, shows the tense, gritty reality of urban warfare and the teamwork between infantry and armour that helped turn the tide of the war. August 1944, near Calais, France. Jacob Nacken, standing 7 feet 3 inches tall, was the tallest soldier in the German army. Once a circus performer, he had become part of a 250-man German gun crew defending the French coast, but in a twist of wartime irony, they were captured by just 7 Canadian soldiers, led by Corporal Bob Roberts, who stood a full 2 feet shorter than Nacken. The moment, frozen in this photo, spread quickly through Allied newspapers. It wasn't just the height difference, it was the symbolism. The might of Nazi Germany literally overshadowed, but ultimately outmatched. When the war ended, Nacken emigrated to the US, where he returned to show business, this time playing as the world's tallest Santa Claus. November 22nd, 1944, above Salzburg, Austria. Captured by an unknown American crewman aboard a B-24 Liberator. The sky is choked with smoke, not from explosions, but from German smudge pots, lit to blind the bombers. Below them are the Salzburg rail yards, a critical artery in Hitler's war machine. Above, the 460th Bomb Group slices through the clouds, flying from Spinazzola, Italy. Their mission is to cripple the enemy's supply lines. Each man aboard knows the stakes: high altitude flak, fighter interceptors, and a narrow window to drop with precision. This next image was taken in 1939, somewhere in occupied Poland. The photographer is unknown, but the message is unmistakable. A Wehrmacht soldier stands beside a young boy with no words and no weapons drawn, just a look exchanged between 2 worlds. To Berlin, this image was propaganda, proof that German soldiers were a protector, not a conqueror. But 1939 tells a different story. The war had just begun and Poland had fallen, and behind the smile, behind the uniform, was a silent machinery of invasion. For the boy, confusion; for the soldier, duty; and for history, a photo that conceals as much as it reveals. 1940, Amsterdam, Netherlands. A classroom photograph, and the girl in focus is Anne Frank. In this picture, she's just 12 years old, seated at her desk with a pencil in hand, unaware of the legacy she'll leave behind. Outside the frame, a world is shifting. Nazi flags wave over Dutch rooftops and Jewish families begin to vanish. But here, Anne is still just a student, still free and still dreaming. This photo isn't famous because of how it looks, it's famous because of what's coming. 2 years later she would go into hiding, 4 years later she would be gone, but her words would never be silenced. Winter 1944, somewhere on the Eastern Front. Buried in a foxhole, a German machine gunner grips his MG42, Hitler's buzzsaw. It spits 1200 rounds per minute, very efficient and ruthless. And above him, Soviet artillery thunders. Behind him, retreat is treason. He's not a hero here, he's a villain, he's just cold, exhausted and waiting. Every inch of snow is a grave in waiting, and this hole in the earth is the only thing that's keeping him alive. Circa 1943. German soldiers force open a back door with weapons drawn. This scene was all too familiar across occupied Europe. Raids like this were common in Nazi-occupied areas. Soldiers would invade homes searching for resistance fighters, Jews or anyone they deemed an enemy. With each door they kicked in, families lived in constant fear, knowing that their lives would be upended in an instant. This photograph captures the brutal reality of occupation, where the soldiers didn't just fight battles, they also intruded the very lives of civilians, changing them forever. 1941, somewhere on the Eastern Front, deep in Soviet territory. 3 German officers return from a brutal battle, walk in silence. This image captures a rare, unposed moment. The soldiers in the middle, carrying his MP-38 submachine gun, appears worn down, perhaps physically and perhaps mentally. By the early horrors of the invasion, his 2 comrades flanking him are seen equally exhausted. Their uniforms are still relatively clean, suggesting this was only the beginning of their long, harsh push into hostile territory. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The USS Arizona burns after being hit by the surprise Japanese attack. In this haunting image, smoke billows from the Arizona's forward superstructure as it sinks. The flames erupting from the ship highlight the catastrophic damage caused by a bomb that detonated her forward magazines. The explosion claimed the lives of over 1,100 crew members, and this devastating attack led to the United States declare war on Japan, bringing the US into World War II. March 22nd, 1945, Saarbrücken, Germany. A German officer sits amidst the ruins of the city, consuming US Army sea rations. Captured after the city fell without a fight, this officer, likely a prisoner of war, is seen eating from a can of American rations. The devastation around him reflects the intense combat and subsequent surrender of German forces. The image starkly contrasts the earlier days of the war, highlighting the shift in momentum as Allied forces advanced into German territory. February 23rd, 1945, Iwo Jima, Japan. US Marines raised the American flag atop Mount Suribachi, marking a pivotal moment in the Battle of Iwo Jima. This iconic photograph captures 6 Marines lifting the flag, a powerful symbol of American resolve in the fierce face of Japanese resistance. As the flag ascends, it marks a hard-fought victory on the island, but also serves as a reminder of the high cost of war. This image became a symbol of hope and determination for the United States during World War II. February 1945, Iwo Jima, Japan. A US Marine, seated amidst the volcanic ash, lights his pipe with a calm demeanour. Strapped to his back is an M2-2 flamethrower, a weapon crucial in clearing fortified Japanese positions. This candid moment captures a juxtaposition of a brief respite against the backdrop of one of the Pacific War's most brutal battles. The Marine's composed act amidst chaos symbolises the resilience and fortitude of those who fought on the island.